Hello everyone and welcome to the RSA. We're delighted to have you with us in the great room and to know that we have so many watching online across the globe. So good evening, good afternoon or good morning wherever you are. Some quick practical points before we start. Please make sure your mobile phones are switched to silent. We're live streaming tonight. If you're watching the live stream, then please feel free to comment and share. On X, Instagram, and LinkedIn, the hashtag for tonight's event is SDA 100, or Student Design Awards, and our handle is @the_RSA.org. If you're a fellow, join us on Circle in our Design for Life Awards space to share your thoughts and continue the conversation. So, we're here to celebrate the 2024 RSA Student Design Award winners, and it's fantastic to have winners, educators, and partners joining us today, alongside our friends and supporters. I hope you're settled and looking forward to this special occasion, designing for and from the future, the 100th RSA Student Design Awards, a whole century of social innovation. Wow, moments like today are far and few. And it's such a great honor to be hosting you today for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm Joanna Schuker, and I'm Director of Design and Innovation here at the RSA. My journey with the SDAs goes a long way, not quite 100 years, but I've been involved in lots of different ways, as some of you might know. I judged the awards in 2008. I taught students the SDA briefs as a lecturer between 2010 and 2020. I was a partner of the SDAs, offering an internship as prize as part of my previous agency, Creates, in 2016. And now I'm leading the awards from within the RSA, which is such a wonderful and special job to have. I have therefore worn almost every possible SDA stakeholder hat you could ever wear, apart from the best one, which is an SDA winner. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge just some of the incredible winners we have had walk on this very stage in the last 100 years. So I'd love to take you on a backwards time machine to explore some of the winners and some of their designs for and from the future. Over the last century, we have seen over 110,000 students participate in the awards from over 20 countries. We partnered with over 400 teachers to integrate the design briefs into curriculums. We distributed over £1 million in grants and prizes, and we launched over 2,000 design briefs. If you want to find out more and you haven't checked out the 100 Years Student Design Awards exhibition yet, I'd encourage you to have a look either physically, so the exhibition is downstairs in the Benjamin Franklin room, or digitally on the RSA website if you search 100 Years Student Design Awards. So we're going to start with our recent history. So remember, we're on this time machine. It's the year 2019. I'd like to introduce Nathan Ade, who was shortlisted for an RSA SDA that year for his project, How to Be More Pirate, in response to our moving pictures brief. The animation, How to Be More Pirate, shared a perception of how a new generation of young people have a better understanding of how to break the mold than any other generation before. Nathan Ade has since had an animation commissioned by the Arts Council England to be distributed by the BBC, courtesy of Rural Media New Creatives Midlands. This same animation, titled Mental Roots, was showcased only last year at the British Film Institute's Film Festival. Everyone, please welcome Nathan to the stage to hear his design story from the future.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to see all of you come tonight on quite a big year, the 100th anniversary of the RSA, and hello to everyone live streaming as well. So I'll try and keep this brief. I haven't got any notes, so I'm just gonna wing it. But yes, as it's already been said, 2019, I was a student at the University of Derby in my second year of my animation degree, and you know, for me, you know, growing up, animation was always something I was vaguely interested in. I was also always fascinated with cartoons and always curious to know how did they do it, you know. Long story short, you know, now I was doing a degree, and the RSA Student Design Awards would be my first ever opportunity of submitting my work on an international level. And it was quite daunting. I understand what it's like to be a young creative, and you know, you're given a brief as part of your coursework. You know, the brief for that year was integrated into our coursework. So that was how I came to learn that the RSA actually existed. Long story short, you know, our lecturer said, you know, this coursework that you've done, there is an actual real competition that you could submit it to if you want to. And, you know, I hesitated because I think as a lot of young people might think, you might think, do I really stand a chance? You know, there's a lot of competition out there, and you kind of sometimes underestimate the power of your own gifts and your own abilities. But I thought, you know what, I've got nothing to lose. And so I submitted my animation for that year, which the theme was how to be more pirate. And basically was just kind of challenging the whole Maslow's hierarchy of needs concept that you have to make it to the top of the corporate ladder before you give back. And so that speech, I think that year it was by a man called Sam Conniff Allende or something like that. I'm not sure if I said his last name correctly. But he did an RSA speech that year, and we had like a 1-minute piece of audio from that speech to do an animation to. Long story short, I got shortlisted in the top 7 for that year, and that was the first time that I really saw that. I mean, I knew I was talented, but now this gave me perspective on how far, you know, your talent can go if you just put yourself out there. And so I had an interview at the RSA headquarters here, and from that, I was actually invited back to another RSA event that same summer of 2019. And that event was actually around power and privilege. It was mainly kind of open to just various professionals that were connected with the RSA. But I remember it was also open to those who had been shortlisted that year in the Student Design Awards. And that was powerful because it was nice to know that important conversations around equality, you know, was involving young people that have been involved with RSA competitions. And so I went alongside one of the winners of the RSA Student Design Awards that year. I didn't win, but it was great to still be invited to that conversation. And I got to share my 2 cents, you know, being a quote-unquote ethnic minority. It was nice to kind of have that presence in the room and just kind of share my own perspective on what it means to create more opportunities for those from underrepresented backgrounds. And so some of the feedback that I and a few other people gave helped inform the change within the Student Design Awards. So now, you know, with the Student Design Awards, all submissions are purely based on the work and not on other characteristics on the person, you know, so it helps bias towards backgrounds become less of a factor, if that makes sense. And so it was great to kind of see the RSA make those small changes to make their programs more equal in opportunities. And then from that, you know, finishing my degree, I finished in 2020 of all years. Any COVID graduate will know the struggle. But I remember the beginning of 2020, I heard of this competition called New Creatives from BBC and Rural Media. Rural Media, they're based in Hereford. They're a great media charity that do a lot of work to help young people, especially from marginalized backgrounds, to get their visions out there and get into the creative industries. So New Creatives was their scheme at that time with the BBC. Basically, you pitch a short film idea. If they think it has enough potential, they'll put a bit of funding behind it, and then it gets broadcasted on BBC4. So that was a great opportunity. And at that time, I was thinking about ways I could improve black representation within my art form, which is animation. In my dissertation and a few other bits of study that I did, I realized there's much to be desired in terms of stories of black culture in animation, and especially British animation. So I thought that has to change, you know? So I was thinking about what sort of issues in the black community could I talk about through my work. And mind you, I was encouraged to address social issues in my work mainly because of the RSA Student Design Awards, because all the briefs are focused on relevant social issues. So it got me thinking about, okay, well, if I can do that for this award, then there's plenty more social issues that I could start addressing in my work. So for me, it was going to be mental health in the Black community. Initially, with that animation, it was from a Black male perspective. If you look at the stats around mental health, you see that Black men especially are the most vulnerable group within the UK to certain conditions like schizophrenia and just mental health issues generally. And there's a lot going on culturally that impacts that. Obviously, various forms of racism within society, but also stigmas within African and Caribbean cultures as well. And so I started addressing that in that animation, which has now gone on to do really well. It's been featured in the British Animation Awards this year, being showcased alongside other short films from Disney and Aardman. So to be in that cohort was just amazing. And also, as been mentioned, the British Film Institute Future Film Festival, which was last year. And now Mental Roots is something that I've developed into an entrepreneurial interest. It's a multimedia brand which uses workshops and creative projects to keep further highlighting factors of mental health within the Black community. So I started to do school workshops locally where I live in Derby and looking to expand as well to different areas. And just to see the impact of this animation that I've made for kids from diverse backgrounds, helping them to have a better relationship with themselves in mental health and better understanding for other young people from other cultural backgrounds. And it's just a great example of how what you do, regardless of your age as a creative, it can have a massive impact. And so if there's any general thing to remember from my journey, is that you're never too young for your work to have an impact. Every room can benefit from your feedback. It doesn't matter your gender, your age, your ethnicity. Make the most of what you have because your experience is needed. And yeah, people can learn from it. Last year was a full circle moment for me. I got to be a judge for the same category, of that I entered back in 2019. And that was also a great experience of learning, about passing on the baton. When you've learned skills, when you've gained an experience for yourself, it's never too early to then give back and give, feedback and give leadership to those coming up after you, even if those coming up after you are only 1 or 2 years younger than you. So yeah, hopefully that encourages all of you, regardless of your age, that, you can be the change that you want to see. Thank you very much for your time.
Nathan, one day older, a lifetime wiser. So 2 years is a big deal. But thank you so much for sharing your inspiring story and also taking that initial leap to enter the awards and sharing all your insights to help us make the program more inclusive and more equitable. Right, everyone else, we're going to continue on our time travel. Remember, you're on this time machine. We're going further back in history. We're going to stop in the year 1994. There's a growing interest in customer centricity and technology. Richard Howarth won a Student Design Award for telepathic fish that year. This is an iPod-like device. For some of you who remember iPods or who had one. This is an iPod-like device for music subscriptions. The award allowed him to travel to Japan for a work placement with Sony. And in his words, Richard said of the award, "It kick-started my career and was genuinely life-changing." In 2014, Richard became Vice President of Industrial Design at Apple, and he acknowledged the importance of the SDAs by donating an annual award to the program. Now, we're going to go back about 30 years earlier. We're going to stop at the year 1959. The SDAs have been encouraging young designers to experiment with newly available materials, such as PVC and Perspex. This would be slightly more controversial today. Winner Margaret Hall got a travel bursary for her winning entry to the laminated plastics brief and used the funds to explore Scandinavian design practices. This formative experience shaped her as a designer, and she went on to be the head of design at the British Museum. Her Tutankhamun exhibition of 1972 became a benchmark for museums. Right, now we're going to go back even further into the earlier years of the SDAs. We're going to stop at the year 1950. There's been a burst of interest in industrial design to rebuild after the Second World War. Aspiring engineer and former Navy mechanic David Carter, CBE and RDI, won £150 for his entry to the RSA's Domestic Solid Fuel Burning Appliances Brief. I think we have much more succinct brief titles nowadays. David went on to become a renowned industrial designer, designing creations like the Stanley knife. What would we designers do without a Stanley knife? And Le Shuttle, which was the first Eurotunnel train. And as if by design, David Carter's son, Jonathan Carter, came across the RSA celebrations of the 100 years of the Student Design Awards only 2 weeks ago. He reached out to us, and I am so pleased to share that he was able to join us tonight to say a few words about his incredible late father and the impact that the SDA Travel Bursary had on his father's career. Please join me in welcoming Jonathan Carter. Jonathan, it's such an honor. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. I feel like a bit of a fraud being here, obviously, on behalf of my father, but I have to say it was, for him, actually life-changing. It really was life-changing. I think the previous recipient had said the same thing. I'm delighted to be here tonight, and many thanks for the RSA for inviting me. And also, I'd just like to say congratulations to all the award winners this year, because I just felt this year the diversity of the awards was so fantastic, and it's so wonderful to see that such an important process is ongoing and hopefully will go on for many, many years to come. But I just wanted to say a few things about my father in 1951 when he actually went on the trip. He was a strange guy because he kept everything. So I actually went through his archive last week and found his original model of the solid burning fuel fire and his notes of the trip. Actually, I have to admit that there was a huge amount of disappointment when he actually got to Scandinavia, because he realized that no one used solid fuel fires because they all had district heating supplies, which was a massive disappointment. But he came from very humble upbringings. He left school at 16. He worked in a factory. During the Second World War, he then joined up to do his national service, and then he was demobbed and got an amazing opportunity to go to the Central School of Art and Design to study design. So his route was odd. He had absolutely no money at all. So winning a bursary of £150 was unbelievably important to him. Going to Scandinavia, and there's a theme here, isn't there? Scandinavia in the 1950s was the place to go. Going to Scandinavia was inspiring, and he met some incredible people. He talked about it a lot throughout the later years of his life, and he came back with this. This is the most beautiful bowl. Many of you will recognize it. It's designed by Finn Yule, who actually, I believe, is an honorary RDI, strangely. And it was produced by Kay Boyenson. And it is stunning. It's beautiful, it's simple, it's elegant, it's fit for purpose. And this really modeled his whole philosophy on design. And you can see this in the Stanley knife and lots of other of his 1960s designs. So massively important, massively important. So on his behalf, all I want to say is thank you very much to the RSA. He stayed in contact, was an RDI, and hugely involved for many years throughout his whole professional career. And also thank you for keeping the awards going, because they are so important, and actually getting better and better, and I think more relevant to a much wider section of society than they even were in, well, definitely than they were in the 1950s. So thank you very much. That's all I wanted to say, but thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm so pleased we could make this serendipity work tonight for you to join us. So with that inspirational start, I'd like to invite you to now journey back to the present, to tonight and the exciting evening ahead, inviting our keynote speech by the brilliant Andrew Grant and the presentation of the awards. So to begin with, I'd like to start by sharing a bit about the RSA, the Student Design Awards, and all of those who support us to make this program happen. So who is the RSA? We're a social change organization and community that has been at the forefront of social impact for 270 years. Our proven change process, rigorous research, innovative ideas, and unique global network of fellows work collectively to enable people, places, and the planet to flourish in harmony. And design and designers, as we know, are all around us. And of course, most of us have an active role in shaping the world around us, even if we may not recognize that role or we may not describe ourselves as designers. Whatever industry we work in, we all design mindsets, practices, products, services, infrastructure, policy that shape our world in some way or another, both now and for the generations to come, regeneratively or degeneratively, whether we intend for that impact to happen or not. So more than anything, the Student Design Awards across their 100-year history have continued to strengthen the role that design can play to do more good in the world. The SDAs are the world's oldest global mission-orientated design competition for higher education students and graduates, focusing around a set of project briefs rooted in complex economic, social, and environmental challenges. We're thrilled to have our 2024 and 100th cohort of winners here tonight and to welcome you all into the RSA community. As much as the SDAs are about the winners, it's also about everyone who participated and who has learned new skills and applied them to create change. And this centenary year, we sought to make this the most inclusive year to date. So for our 100th year, the design briefs were downloaded 2,034 times. We received 375 submissions from 81 colleges and universities right around the world, including Indonesia, Afghanistan, Finland, the US, and Australia. We welcomed those from non-design disciplines for the first year to take part and saw great responses from computer scientists, mathematicians, business and cultural managers, and mechanical engineers. And staying true to our heritage of the awards being an opportunity for women in the 1900s to advance their education, we saw 66% of entries from those identifying as women, non-binary, and gender fluid. We also distributed 41 bursaries to facilitate the participation of those students who need it the most. And the design briefs were incredibly diverse as well, inviting responses from a wide range of interests and motivations. These included questions like, how might we empower communities to use AI to tackle climate change, reimagine a regenerative future of the built environment, increase the skin confidence of young people, and celebrate and bring to life 100 years of the SDAs. These are just some of the challenges posed by the design briefs this year. And as many of you will know, the RSA, as an independent charity, all of these design briefs have been developed in collaboration with a diverse group of Centenary partners. This entire program is made possible through the support of these ambitious and purpose-driven organizations. These are organizations who share our belief that design for good is also good design. We're very proud to be working with all of you and delighted to be joined by you in the great room and online. A massive thank you to our partners for supporting the SDA mission. I'd also like to extend a huge thanks to all of the judges, friends, colleges, universities, and especially individual educators who have championed this year's competition. The impact of the awards is only possible through your generous time and effort. Now, before we present the awards, it is a privilege to welcome our very special guest and keynote speaker for the evening, Andrew Grant RDI. Andrew is a Royal Designer for Industry who has been a strong supporter of the Student Design Awards for many years. Andrew brings extraordinary experience and perspective as an internationally acclaimed and award-winning landscape architect whose work explores the connection between people and nature. He uses creative ecological design to find solutions to the major challenges of climate change, biodiversity loss, and improving human quality of life, health, and well-being. Each of his projects responds to the place, its inherent ecology, and its people, and engages the wider community in the reimagining of our relationships with each other and with nature. Please join me in welcoming Andrew Grant to the stage.
Too many glasses. Thank you, Joan. Well, this is a fantastic honor for me to be here tonight, and I will say straight off, well done for all the award winners, and well done to the RSA for sort of doing this project for 100 years. As a judge in previous years, I've just seen how important it is to see people coming to the RSA, showing their work, and actually experiencing a really important part of their growth and career. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my life as a landscape architect, my career path, and some of the moments that have shifted directions for me in lots of really interesting ways. And I'm going to start off with this idea of designing like we are part of nature, because it's something that is very topical. We're all talking about nature, nature-based solutions, how do we deal with climate change, how do we deal with biodiversity emergencies, all those sort of things. And a lot of that is because we've forgotten how to have a relationship with the natural world, where we think of the consequences of our designs on the natural world, and what are the benefits we can bring to the natural world through our design and ingenuity. And it's more important now than ever. And sorry, I'm going to wander about a little bit, but so why am I here as a designer? I mean, I suppose the main project that people will be familiar with is Gardens by the Bay in Singapore, which has become a sort of an international reference point, I guess, for something that is futuristic, celebratory about nature, and engages people with the natural world in an interesting way. And I'll come back to that a little bit more later. But a starting point is, okay, what was I like when I was a student, back in A-level days, and what was I thinking about? And I just dug these drawings out, and it sort of weirdly sort of connects to everything I've done since. I was strangely into sort of slight dystopian sci-fi movies and novels, and this sort of tension between what's our relationship with nature, and that sort of image seems to me to be absolutely pertinent to today. What on earth are we doing to the planet? And I was interested in biodiversity and nature, and I was interested in children's play. Strange sort of themes that worked our way through. And I went to university in Edinburgh College of Art, and I found the benefits of actually sharing creative thinking with a wide array of creative thinkers: sculptors, artists, potters, ceramists, architects, town planners. And that's also struck me all the way through my career. How do you benefit from the creativity of others around you? And I think that's a really important thing. So after I graduated, strangely, I went to Qatar. I spent 3 years in Qatar, in Doha, completely fish out of water. Really important lesson, though, is that, it's a different culture, a whole different world. Different clothes, different language, different relationships with different things you had to be sensitive to. So that was an important lesson, but also I was working with some of the most amazing designers and craftsmen in the world on really expensive projects, I have to say, but suddenly I got an awareness of materials and how to use materials in an interesting way. I then came back to the UK and I started working in Bath, which I've been there ever since. And this is a strange collage of the sort of projects I did. In 10 years, I was at Nicholas Pearson Associates in Bath, ranging from a landscape assessment of Dartmoor. So I had 6 months roaming Dartmoor, describing it, understanding its geology, its landscape, its ecology. What else did I do? I did a strange landscape visual impact assessment for Wytch Farm oil field, which was BP. We're basically putting in well sites into Fursey, Whitpool Harbour and Fursey Island, and these sort of very sensitive areas. Completely weird sort of thing to do. And then, things like Tesco's in Dorchester. So this was my learning period, basically, learning the craft. But at the end of that, I did think that actually, I'm not sure this is what I want to do the rest of my life, just this weird mix. So I decided I was going to write to some people, and I wrote to Sir Geoffrey Jellicoe, who was a bit of a hero of mine. He was a very eminent landscape architect. It's quite elderly when I went to see him, but he invited me to come and see him and show him my work, which was quite extraordinary. And so I went there with my little portfolio, showed him this stuff, and he wrote this letter back. And he was 94 years old when he was writing this. But I think your drawings are stunning. That's all I needed to hear. And it basically made me think, okay, I can maybe do something. It gave me the confidence to start thinking about what do I do next, which was actually to start writing to lots more eminent people, including the Richard Rogers Partnership. And I got invited to join them on a competition for Parkbit in Mallorca, which was the creation of a really interesting township, which was, in a way, a sort of a pioneering study of how to create an integrated new urban setting with nature, agriculture, wildlife, all those sort of things. And I started to develop a language of drawing which started to show how you could integrate these sort of things. And that led me to think, actually, how do we do this in a little bit more sophisticated way? And this diagram here was, for me, quite an important one. I was invited to become the landscape master planner for the Earth Centre project in Conisbrough. It's one of those millennium projects. And it seemed to me that this was entirely all about sustainable development. And in response to the Rio Earth Summit, the Earth Centre had developed this approach: let's make a visitor centre so people can learn about sustainability. What does it mean? So this was way back in the late 90s. And this was my first diagram exploring what we could do with water. And clearly, when you look at the context of conversations today about systems thinking, circular economies, all those sort of relationship sort of diagrams and thinking, this is just my very crude level of thinking about it way back then in 1996, but also thinking about materials. And the Earth Centre taught me an awful lot about lots and lots of aspects of it, the technologies of sustainable development and landscape, how to use water, how to create habitats, how to use materials with low carbon, all those sort of things. But it made me also realize that actually, yes, there are sort of systems and technology fixes, but they're nothing if you don't have the human emotional connection to that as well. So this was, we were invited to do all sorts of weird, wonderful things for lots of people, building on this environmental design reputation. But one of the things I really enjoyed was the garden at the British Pavilion at the Japan Expo in 2005 in Nagoya. How do you represent Britain in Japan as a garden? So rather than, cottage garden, perennials and all the rest of it, I thought, okay, we're going to make a woodland. We're going to create a little mini ecosystem here, but actually populate that with things that people will find fun and interesting. And it was tiny, sort of 18 meters by 10 meters, and hundreds of thousands of people went through this. And it basically changed over 6 months. It was this sort of little mini sort of refuge, but it was about nature, and people loved it. It was a great place to meet people, and it had several sort of really beautiful artworks by leading British artists. So that idea of systems and beauty and emotions basically manifested itself most, I think, in Gardens by the Bay in Singapore. And this was a competition, international competition, and I was asked to, well, I pulled together a team from the UK to actually put in a bid for this project. And these are two of my diagrams just to sort of start the process going with the design team. The orchid is the national flower of Singapore, so I thought it'd be quite an interesting metaphor. It's the most cosmopolitan species on the planet. You find it most places. But they're really interesting because they have this incredible physiology that they can survive in most places. So I thought that's a metaphor for infrastructure. How do we create a really intelligent infrastructure? And then, obviously, the flowers are beautiful. So how do we create a series of garden experiences that are really magical? And alongside that, make sure that we're really thinking about these systems again. And this is right at the, once again, quite naive respect in respect to the diagram. But this was us trying to think of this project as a mini ecosystem where we wanted to start thinking about loops of water, of energy, of waste, of biodiversity, and think of how we can tell that story in a really interesting way. And to do that, you need amazing people. And teamwork, cross-collaboration, different disciplines is really important. So we have Dr. Tan on the extreme left, who's our client, who's a genius, who led the project. Behind him is Paul Baker from Wilkins-Nair, the architect. Then there's Patrick Bellew from Atelier 10, RDI, myself. And here we have Neil Thomas, structural engineer, RDI. So strangely, we had this amazing group of people, and we were just 4 of 104 people who actually probably designed this thing properly. But we structured the whole gardens around some themes, like what is the relationship between people and plants? How do we tell the stories of Southeast Asian rainforests? How do we showcase plants? Because this was really just a project about getting a better relationship with plants and showing off plants from around the world in a really interesting way. So everything that we did, every piece of design that we imagined was, how do we showcase plants that have never been done in this way before? So the super trees, for instance, became these vertical gardens to show off all these bromeliads and tillandsias and all sorts of epiphytic species and climbers in a really sort of powerful way. And how do we respond to the place? Now in Singapore, it's very hot during the day, and a lot of people come out at night. So we realized we needed to sort of do something really spectacular for the nighttime experience, and the Super Tree Grove became that place. This is just one of the events. I mean, basically every night people come here, probably 3,000 or 4,000 people every night just come to this place and enjoy the experience, because you're within the most extraordinary three-dimensional space with sound and light and nature and just a community. It's a really powerful sort of place. And meanwhile, in the biomes, which basically house amazing collections of plants from tropical cloud forests or the Mediterranean, the night becomes this sort of theatrical place, you know, when you start to make things with this. And it made us think, once again, how do we showcase the plants? So we created this artificial mountain in the heart of the cloud forest biome, and basically created all these niches for different plants. How do we work with the horticulturalists, the ecologists, to make sure we've got the niches right? And ultimately, to create this extraordinary interface with plants and people. And we got something right, because basically the Gardens by the Bay became an international icon for design, and this idea of Singapore, our city in a garden. You know, these are the signs you'd find at Changi Airport coming in, and it was on Lonely Planet cover, and it was all over the place. And it was picked up by all sorts of weird and wonderful things, including Hello Kitty and Lego and goodness knows who else. I'm going to flip through some others quite quickly, but basically, as the Earth Centre opened up opportunities in the UK for some really interesting projects, Gardens by the Bay inevitably opened opportunities for us in another direction as well, including this one, which was to basically do a study for the Endau-Rumpin National Park in Malaysia, where they still have some wild tigers. And the idea was to come up with a strategic plan to make sure that the conservation and the future of that national park had the integrity to support those tigers, restore the habitats, And how do we create this connectivity between the mountains and the rainforests and the coastal reefs? So that was one amazing international journey, which we're now working in all sorts of places around the world. Closer to home, this was 2022. We won another competition by the Historic Royal Palaces when they asked people to come forward with ideas for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. And we thought it'd be really amazing if we could turn the moat around the Tower of London into this incredible floristic experience and allow people to come down into there and experience it in a different way. And this clearly has a sort of a biodiversity, nature connection story to it as well. It's not only just beautiful, but actually is really valuable in terms of the pollinator value of this. And you know, the idea that we can actually grow this as a project into the longer term. So there's a legacy here which has basically started to create the most amazing biodiverse year-round experience for people that also potentially has extraordinary beauty at night as well. Coming to the end of the sort of projects, just to sort of keep the international flavour going, this is a recent one that we have just completed in Bangalore. And once again, the theme is how do you connect, how do we bring nature, greenery to people wherever they are? So the idea of biophilia, how do we create much more rich, interesting experiences for people that are calming, good for well-being, and all those sort of aspects. So this was my sketch, which was saying, okay, we're going to make every part of this journey through an airport have a landscape feel. And we're going to surround it with a forest. And basically, that's what has happened as you go through. This is the cue towards the security, calming, green spaces. You don't go straight into a duty-free shop. You go into a garden. And outside, you can get into these gardens that surround the central part of the terminal, which are filled with endangered species from the region. It's almost like a botanic garden for this part of India. And more recently, we've been doing some work in Monaco, because most cities now are trying to find ways of how we need to improve our green space. We need to create resilience for the way cities are going to work. And Monaco's tiny, 2 square kilometers of space, one of the densest built environments in the planet. So how do we connect the nature from those mountains behind to the sea? And that has been the challenge. But it's almost like that sort of Japanese way of mending pottery where they have used gold. We're just creating these incredibly rich threads of wildlife corridors and pedestrian connectivity to create a new fabric in the city, which will be quite amazing. But it requires a lot of input from a lot of people. So this is our team, basically 13 consultants working on this, because we thought this is not just about putting a bit of green space anywhere. This is about let's really understand the physical fabric of this place. So mobility, soils, lighting, ecology, water, how do we use digital technologies to analyze all of this, so on and so on. So you build up this amazing understanding through teamwork and through collaboration and through creative thinking between us all. So really to the end of my little piece, what next for me? I'm 65. I told you I met Geoffrey Jellicoe when he was 94, and he said to me he got most of his work, best work, after he was 80, which is quite hard to believe, isn't it? But whether I can last long, I'm not entirely sure. But basically, after everything I've learned, we're at crucial moments. We need to sort of do some fundamental things in terms of changing the way we respond to the world. And I think for me, as a landscape architect, I see myself as a healer. Lots of the things you've just seen are about how do we heal our relationship with the natural world? How do we reconnect people more strongly to what the natural world is about? And so I'm doing personal projects now. One, photosynthesis. We talk about pollination and all those sort of things, but photosynthesis is pretty fundamental too. So what do we know about it? How do we tell those stories in some of the projects? I'm very fortunate to be part of the National Infrastructure Commission Design Group, which is just 12 people who basically are advising on how do we design better infrastructure for the UK. And there's a number of documents coming out, but this one was the design principles for national infrastructure, which is very simple. I had 4 key principles: climate, people, place, and value. But in a way, it's universal. And putting that climate right at the beginning is fundamental for us all to think about. So, very privileged to be part of that team. Very privileged also to have the opportunity to work in different parts of the world and actually get really involved with projects that are making a local difference. And this is one in Madagascar, where we're working with Bristol Zoo on the conservation of the blue-eyed black lemur, critically endangered species, but we're helping the zoo to create a field research station. We're helping to facilitate some of the design ideas for that, and basically just as a little fragment of input to a different part of the world. And then back at home in Bath, Forest of Imagination, which is a pop-up festival that I've co-founded with Penny Hay, who's Professor of Imagination at Bath Boy University. And it's really essentially just trying to create a connection between nature and people and Bath in a really playful way, which links really beautifully into the RSA's Playful Green Planet project, which everybody should do a check out what that is, but it's really fantastic. I'm going to leave you with just a little film, if it plays. Is it playing? Click it again. This is a film we did for Beijing Expo a couple of years ago, and it just seemed to us to be representative of the holistic way we need to think about design. So, thank you very much. I hope I've inspired some of you to train as landscape architects. It's pretty rewarding, I have to tell you. But thank you very much. Thank you.
I found it fascinating looking at kind of your really rough, sketchy kind of drawings of really initial ideas, and then boom, they've been built and thousands of people are visiting every day. sure it wasn't as simple as kind of sketch and then boom. It was a bit more complex, but absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much for such an inspiring keynote. So now the moment that we've been all waiting for. We're going to move on to presenting the 2024 100th Year Award winners. The winners we're announcing tonight have been selected through a two-step rigorous judging process. Every single project entered is reviewed anonymously by a diverse panel of judges, and shortlisted projects are invited to meet the panel, present their project, and discuss their design journey. As winners, these students will receive cash prizes to further their career development or to support the piloting of their ideas. And today we recognize them with a physical Stepping Stone Award that you'll be able to see shortly. The Stepping Stone Award was designed by Robin Levine, a royal designer for industry and longtime friend and supporter of the RSA. These awards were inaugurated in 2014 to celebrate the 90th anniversary of the RSA SDA program, and we continue that tradition tonight, including a special Centenary year print and engraving on each stepping stone. So that has the 100-year logo. You can actually see it on the screen. Robin designed the award to commemorate the moment our winners take that big first step and start their careers as designers for social change. Now, it's my great pleasure to announce the 2024 RSA Student Design Award winners. I will read out the design brief, and then I will introduce a representative from our funding partner to stage for applaud. I will then introduce the winner, their proposal, and share some feedback from the judges, and then let's all applaud the winner as they are walking up on stage to collect their award. So first up, we have brief number 1, the Apply AI brief. This brief is in partnership with Google DeepMind, and it asked, how might we empower communities to use AI to tackle the local challenges of climate change? Can we please welcome Dorothy Chu, who is representing Google DeepMind this evening, to the stage to thank them for their support and for a big round of applause. And the winner of this brief is Betha Suarso for Beta Electronics. Beta Electronics offers a holistic approach to electronic recycling and education. It not only promotes recycling, but also empowers users to learn more about their devices. Judges praised Betha's professional presentation at the interview stage of judging and were impressed with how clearly she explained her work in great detail and answered questions well. Judges highly enjoyed Betha's compelling and innovative approach and described her as being ahead of the curve, doing something different from other submissions. Betha's passion about the project came across to judges. They thought it was great that users were already being engaged and commended that this could be the beginning of a movement. Please welcome Betha to the stage. Brief number 2 is the Flourishing Places brief. This brief is in partnership with ARUP, and it asked, how might we collectively reimagine a regenerative future of the built environment to enable all life to flourish? Can we please welcome Florence Lamb, who is representing ARUP this evening, to the stage to thank them and applaud their support this year. And the winner of brief number 2 is Dougal Cusack-Brown for his Chatham Mussel project, From Dockyards to Dining Tables. This project is a community-driven mussel farm in the Garden of England, intertwining local farms and promoting a sustainable food ethos. Judges were impressed with Dougal's professional presentation at the interview stage of judging, as well as creative innovation and unique concept in this proposal. Judges enjoyed hearing from Dougal about the many social benefits of his proposal and the forward-thinking approach he clearly demonstrated. Please welcome Dougal to the stage. Brief number 3 is the In Your Skin brief in partnership with Bond & Coin and the Skin Health Alliance. And this brief asked, how might we increase the skin confidence of every young person to enable their unique identity to flourish? Can we please welcome Mike Bond, who is representing Bond & Coin, and Matthew Patty, who's representing Skin Health Alliance, to the stage. And thank you to both of you for your generous contribution. Now, the winner of this brief is Elisa Smith for Exposure. Exposure is a sun care brand that targets young men beginning their careers in construction, building confidence and decreasing skin cancer rates. Judges loved Elisa's presentation at the interview stage of the judging process and commended the storytelling and flow of it. They thought the proposal was thorough with a strong identity and brand. They were sold by Elisa your clarity and believed you to be in complete control of your craft. For the judges, Elisa is clearly a strong designer, and they commended her ability to find a niche and find a solution for that focus. They thought the potential for impact in this proposal was really strong, and they wondered why no one has proposed this idea before. Please welcome Elisa to the stage. Brief 4 is the Caring Culture brief. This brief is in partnership with the RAIN Foundation and asked how might we improve the lives of older adults and their carers by encouraging and enabling cultures and higher standards of care. Can we please welcome Jeremy Sandelson, who's representing the RAIN Foundation this evening, to the stage. And thank you, Jeremy, to you and the RAIN Foundation for your support. So the winner of this brief is Abipsha Ray for Balance. Balance is a collaborative platform providing families with tools to seamlessly pass down valuable caregiving insights, fostering a culture of care and support spanning across generations. Judges praised Abipsha's highly professional presentation that showed how much care and thought she had applied to Balance. Judges could see how much potential the solution has in changing conversations around care and for both user groups, and appreciate everything about this proposal, from the name of the solution to the depth and impact potential of it, as well as how simple and practical it was. They liked the sense of having something tangible instead of just an app, and loved the idea that the person receiving care was an active participant, as well as Abipsha's acknowledgement of how they could also care for others. Overall, a fantastic and winning solution with a lot of potential. Judges even started to come up with their own ideas about where the solution could go in the future. Please welcome Abipsha to the stage. Brief 5 is the Made Natural brief. This brief is in partnership with the Royal Botanic Gardens Kew and with support from Naturcare. And the brief asked, how might we create sustainable, nature-based solutions which use trees to protect the environment and to strengthen communities? Can we please welcome Paul Denton, who's representing Royal Botanic Gardens Kew, to the stage, as well as Susie Hewson, MBE, who is representing Naturcare. And a big thank you for your combined support. And drum roll, the winner of this brief is Karina Gunadi, Richard Alexander, Blake Goodwin, and Tangao Yu for Piri. Inspired by heat-reactive pine cones, Piri is a low-cost and zero-maintenance early wildfire detection system made for from nature-made materials. Judges praised this group's professional presentation, carefully considered approach, and great answers to questions at the interview stage. The group demonstrated strong teamwork and in their presentation even preempted questions and unknowns from the judges. You do a bit of mind reading. Judges praised this team's concept and great application of design skills to solve real-world challenges. Please welcome Karina, Richard, Blake, and Tango to the stage. And our final brief from this year's competition is Centenary Celebrations, and this is in partnership with the Marketing Trust. This brief asked, how might we celebrate and bring to life 100 years of the RSA Student Design Awards? We asked students to create work with a moving image format in response to content from the RSA archive. We wanted them to apply their skills as visual storytellers to take viewers on a captivating journey through the past 100 years and towards the next 100 years of designing for and from the future. Can we please welcome Tony Groom, who is representing the Marketing Trust this evening, to the stage for a very special thank you. For those of you who don't know, and I heard some of the old supporters of the SDAs do remember, the Marketing Trust has been supporting the Student Design Awards for a total of 25 years now. That's a whole quarter of a century. So thank you so much. Do you want to come up, Tony? We are so grateful to the Marketing Trust for having made so many design briefs possible and for having supported so many designers and so many world-changing ideas over their years. And we're excited to be continuing our partnership as part of the next generation of RSA Awards, which we'll be sharing more about later tonight. So the winner of this brief is Theo Hennessy for Student Design Awards Through the Centuries. This film is an animated piece that demonstrates the journey of the Student Design Awards told through graphic shapes, distinctive color, and striking form. And let's have a watch.
The Student Design Awards were launched in 1924 at the instigation of the visionary silk manufacturer Frank Warner, with the aim to foster the emerging field of industrial design and bridge the gap between art and commerce. The first year of the awards, then known as the Competitions of Industrial Design, saw submissions pour in from around the globe, including Australia, Canada, South Africa, and Pakistan. What's more, over half of the award winners and commended entries that year were by women. Martin Lambie-Nairn clinched 2 SDA awards in 1963 and 1964 for his mastery in typography and advertising design. He went on to a career that ranged from the design of the iconic BBC brand to conceiving the satirical television puppet show Spitting Image, leaving a lasting mark on the world of entertainment. In 2016, teammates Alina Diekman and Ryan Robinson won an SDA for their pioneering submission Plumo, transforming locally sourced waste feathers into packaging for more environmentally friendly food deliveries. Plumo went on to secure over £1 million in grants and investment. As we embark on the transformation of the SDAs into Design for Life awards, we pay tribute to the legacy of its innovators, recognising their enduring impact on the world. With this new chapter in our design journey, we hope to give even more inspiration, empowerment and support to the next generation of visionaries. By harnessing design for a better society, the RSA remains dedicated to shaping a brighter future for people, places and planet, one innovation at a time.
So I'll share some of the judges' feedback before inviting Theo to the stage. So judges praised Theo's professional presentation at the interview stage of the judging process, loved hearing about the great level of detail he went through on his project to produce such well executed animation. They enjoyed the visual metaphors and commended on Theo's attention to detail and how the animation hit the celebratory tone of the brief. They also mentioned that Theo's designed animation had great accessibility, showing he had thought about his audience. Judges loved Theo's enthusiasm, confidence and eagerness, and hope his animation is the start of a great path going forward. Please welcome Theo to the stage. So for those of you who weren't able to attend our animation film screening earlier today in the Durham Street Auditorium, don't worry. The winning and shortlisted animations are available to view on the SDA playlist on the RSA YouTube channel. So if you want to have a closer look, please do check them out. Now, for our 100th year of the SDAs, the RSA are proud to be partnering with Andrew Grant Memorial Trust to bring 2 new awards alongside our regular briefs. The AMMT Awards launched in 2010 and celebrate the best of UK's young talent by acknowledging exceptional achievers with annual awards and prize money. Can we please welcome Gemma Shaw, who is representing the Andrew Grant Memorial Trust this evening, to the stage to thank you for that special award. So the first award is the Andrew Grant Young Innovator of the Year Award of £1,000. This award is for the student with an outstanding product and one with the most promise in terms of market testing of their innovation. So the winner for this award is Tess Taylor for TerraHex under Brief 1 Apply AI in partnership with Google DeepMind. TerraHex is an AI soil sensor and app that promotes regenerative agriculture and accurate fertilization to diminish farmers' contribution to climate change while fostering community-led mitigation of climate challenges. Judges praised Tess's professional presentation and they were impressed with how clearly she explained the work and answered some difficult questions, as well as how evident it was that Tess had real knowledge of what she was talking about. They described TerraHex as a very convincing project that could be tested and scaled up and applied to inform policy right now. Judges were so impressed with Tess's strength and viability and innovation that, of course, she had to win the Young Innovator of the Year Award in partnership with Andrew Grant Memorial Trust. Well done, Tess. Please welcome to the stage. And then there's one more prize. So the second award is the Andrew Grant Centenary Design Award of £500, and it's to be given to the student that showed the most promise in terms of inventiveness. And the winner of this award is Rachel Cartledge from the Ground Up under Brief 6 Centenary Celebrations in partnership with the Marketing Trust. From the Ground Up is a multimedia animation that showcases the innovation of previous Student Design Awards winners as individual artworks within the walls of the iconic RSA house in London. We're going to have a watch.
The Student Design Awards were launched in 1924 at the instigation of the visionary silk manufacturer Frank Warner, with the aim to foster the emerging field of industrial design and bridge the gap between art and commerce. The first year of the awards, then known as the Competitions of Industrial Design, saw submissions pour in from around the globe, including Australia, Canada, South Africa and Pakistan. What's more, over half of the award winners and commended entries that year were by women. Martin Lambie-Nairn clinched 2 SDA awards in 1963 and 1964 for his mastery in typography and advertising design. He went on to a career that ranged from the design of the iconic BBC brand to conceiving the satirical television puppet show Spitting Image, leaving a lasting mark on the world of entertainment. In the 1980s, Johnny Ive, now renowned for his design work on Apple's iMac, won 2 SDA awards for envisioning the future of the landline phone and for an automated telemachine. His fellow Apple colleague, Richard Howarth, also won an SDA in 1994 for his design of a telepathic fish, a remarkably prescient iPod-like device in which to play downloaded music for a subscription fee. And in 2021, Atul Dinesh won the Centre for Aging Better brief with his submission of an app called 4 Walls, designed to enhance the current living conditions of a growing population through widespread building modifications and home adjustments, an app designed to create safer and more accessible places to live. As we embark on the transformation of the SDAs into Design for Life awards, we pay tribute to the legacy of its innovators, recognising their enduring impact on the world. With this new chapter in our design journey, we hope to give even more inspiration, empowerment and support to the next generation of visionaries. By harnessing design for a better society, the RSA remains dedicated to shaping a brighter future for people, places and planet, one innovation at a time.
So judges praised Rachel's submission, demonstrating great research and in-depth analysis into all aspects of the RSA and Design Award legacy, as well as the mixed method approach to animation that they thought clearly demonstrated Rachel's creative talents. They applauded Rachel's choice to celebrate the innovative narrative of the RSA through this medium choice. RSA staff, who were tasked with deciding who might be awarded this particular award, voted for Rachel and commended her on her creativity and storytelling that brought to life the rich history of the Design Awards. Staff found the animation approach compelling, and some newer members of staff who didn't know the extent of the Design Awards were delighted to hear and learn about the case studies that Rachel was able to illuminate. So please welcome Rachel to the stage. So that brings us to the end of our awards announcements. You've only had a small snapshot of the winning work here tonight, but you can find out more about the winning projects and the finalists on our website. And do, of course, also chat to the people behind the projects in person tonight. Huge congratulations again to all the Centenary Student Design Awards winners. As we close our ceremony, I'd like to invite you all to join me now and give a final huge round of applause to the winners. And a big thank you again to all the partners, judges, educators, supporters of the RSA Student Design Awards, and to all the students who participated this year and who are using their skills to improve different ways to change the world and to have an impact on the world. I also want to say a final thank you to the RSA team, who has worked especially hard this year to make the Centenary year the most inclusive, and whose work is often less visible behind the scenes, but without whom none of this would have been possible. I'm going to forget some names, but I'm gonna like start from individual people's names and then move into wider teams. Anna, Aoife, Griselda, Anya, Catherine, Mario, Rebecca, the comms team, the events team, the house team. Can you please stand up or wave wherever you are in the team, and let's give them a big round of applause. As you can see, it's a very humble team, but I am just about to pick on someone. I'm going to ask Anna to come up and take a small thank you gift on behalf of the team. Right, and now, as we draw the 100th year of the Student Design Awards to a close, I'd like to invite you to jump back on board of our time machine as we move into the future. So for the last 2 years, we've been on a journey reimagining what the world needs from the next 100 years of RSA Awards. So we've been asking ourselves questions like, what role does innovation and education play amidst our current and future polycrises? How should what we learn and how we innovate change to respond to these polycrises? How might we diversify movements of learners and entrepreneurs so everyone can lean into their full potential to participate, regardless of background? So alongside research, we have been exploring some of these questions collaboratively with many members of our awards community, and many of you are in the room tonight. So thank you to all of those who participated in our inclusion experiments in this year's Pupils and Student Design Awards. Thank you to the Awards Test and Learn group, who has been holding some of these questions with us and advising us on different directions of travel. Thank you to School 21, Bristol University, Greenwich University, and Saturday Club for helping us prototype early ideas with your learners. And thank you to our faculty of fellows who have been helping us shape new awards curriculums. Thank you also to our partners for the very many discussions that we've had about how awards can continue to drive even more impact. The Student Design Awards has seen many changes over the last 100 years. When it launched in 1924, it was called Industrial Designs. In 1946, it became the Industrial Art Bursaries Competition. In 1977, that changed to Design Bursaries. 1990 saw the competition launch with its current name, Student Design Awards, but then in 2003, this changed to Design Directions, and then back to SDAs in 2011. So you can see where I'm going with this. So today, having taken a creative and collaborative approach to responding to the question of what the world needs from RSA Awards for the next 100 years, we're very excited to share that the Student Design Awards will be coming together with the Pupil Design Awards and our Catalyst Enterprise grants to form a new and even better global program for learners and entrepreneurs of all ages. Everyone, meet RSA Spark. RSA Spark will build on all that we have learned over the last 100 years and go even further, continuing to grow creativity to change tomorrow and ignite ideas for action towards a positive world. We'll maintain real-world missions, so that will continue. So through real-world missions and learning fueled by innovation, learners and entrepreneurs will build life skills and lifelong connections. Together, we can focus our energy on caring for people, places, and the planet, and to change tomorrow for everyone. RSA Spark will welcome pupils from across the globe, aged 11 to 17, students 18 and above, and entrepreneurs of all ages. The only requirement is being passionate about doing more good for people, places, and the planet. RSA fellows are also welcome. For our learning and education partners, we continue to welcome you wherever you are in the world. If you're delivering learning programs within schools, colleges, universities, or adult learning or enterprise support settings. We are especially looking to support education partners and learning partners who work with excluded learners and entrepreneurs and who are passionate about inspiring the next generation to lead initiatives that put people, places, and the planet at the heart of change. So please sign up to the new RSA Spark through the new RSA Spark webpage. We'll be sharing with you more updates over the summer, including the launch of the new RSA Spark mission briefs as usual in September, as well as induction and briefing workshops in October onwards. Finally, for our funding partners, we are excited that some of you who will support RSA Spark are in the room with us tonight. Thank you to the RAIN Foundation, Network Rail, Marketing Trust, among others we're shaping partnerships with. We want to continue to partner with purpose-led organizations across sectors, across regions and industries to shape real-world mission briefs together that can spark creative action towards a better tomorrow. So we're going to watch a video which actually takes some edits and cuts from the Centenary winners to share a transition that we're so proud of from the 100 years of the Student Design Awards to RSA Spark. So that's all I'm going to share for now, but do sign up for updates and stay tuned. I think there's some leaflets around the chairs as well. But for now, I'm very conscious that for those of you in front of me, I'm standing between you and the drinks. And for those of you who have joined us online, the formal ceremony has now ended. Thank you for joining us. For those of you in the room, we invite you to go downstairs to the Benjamin Franklin room for some refreshments to explore the winners' work and the 100-year exhibition. I'd like to ask the winners, the partners, and speakers to please stay in the great room for a few moments. We're going to do a group photo together. And to everyone watching online, I hope you'll raise a glass wherever you are to this wonderful group of world-changing designers. Thank you, everyone.